Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the Commanders Report live show here from Chat Sports Studios in Dallas, Texas, here on a beautiful Thursday evening. Hope you guys are having a great day. And we got some great Commanders content coming your way for about the next hour and a half or so. We got 4 segments for you guys. We usually do 3. This week, we are doing 4 segments because we just got so much to talk about today. First, we're going to go into the latest Commanders news and rumors. A little bit of a rumor that has been floating around here that the Commanders might trade for wide receiver T. Higgins. Going to break that down for you guys here in about 5 minutes or so. Then I'll get into our buy, sell, or hold segment where our producer, Cully, who we'll meet here in just a second, has come up with some situations for me to either buy stock in it, sell stock in it, or hold stock in that situation. Then we'll go into Pro Football Focus, who came out with their roster rankings and breakdowns for the 2024 season. I'll break down all 6 categories that they broke down for the Commanders roster, third on today's show. And then we're going to finish up the live show today with the Commanders Report live Q&A. And if you want to get on the show, and you want to get a question, you want to have your voice heard right here on the Commanders Report today, all you have to do is go down there in the live chat and use hashtag Commanders or Super Chat along with your question, and you might be able to get on today's program. And if you Super Chat, you will be guaranteed to get on the show. If you don't know how to Super Chat, it's that little money sign that's over by the live chat. You click that, you put in a certain amount of dollar amount, and then you send it in. If you want to guarantee your question gets on the show this week, Super Chat is the way to do that. But if you want to roll the dice and kind of, take your chances that your question gets on the show today, hashtag Commanders down there in the live chat. So kick us off right now. Where are you watching the show from? Let me know down there in the comment section here. I'm going to give some shout outs to everybody that puts where they are watching from. I see Timmy Jones and I see Ebony right down there to kick off today's show. And while you guys are getting where you're watching the show from down there in the live chat, let's bring in our producer today. It's a new producer here on the Commanders Report. Commander Cullen is here. He's wearing the F the Cowboys hat. Let's get a little F the Cowboys chant going here. F the Cowboys. F the Cowboys. F the Cowboys. There we go, Cully. He's wearing the F the Cowboys hat today. Doesn't that thing look damn good on him, man? Cullen, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. I feel like a 80s bartender, drug cartel, man. I don't even know what's going on right now.
Hat looks good on you, my friend.
I really wish I wasn't wearing a cowboy shirt color right now. I hate this blue on me right now. It doesn't look good. The optics aren't the greatest.
It's not the best, but you know what? We hate the Cowboys here on the Commanders Report. Usually we have a fraudulent Cowboys fan on the show, whether that be producer Tex, whether that be producer Cully, or not Cully, Coop. But today we got Commander Cully, who hates the Dallas Cowboys, so it's about time we got ourselves a producer that hates the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to give some shout-outs here to some people in the chat. I see Omar's Burner is down there. I see TJ Richardson from Hollister, North Carolina. We got Dennis Irvin from Gaffney. We got Alan Barker from Virginia. We got Lawrence from Oklahoma. We got Steven from Maryland outside of D.C. We got Commando Mike saying Bowie. Bradley's coming to us from Virginia. Cassie Both, my girlfriend, is tuning in. Everybody say hi to Cassie down there in the chat. We got Uptown Dre. And we got a bunch of great guys here, man. We got 61 people watching around the world. People are filing in here. So while people continue to file into the show here, here's our Super Chat menu for the day, okay? So I told you guys how to Super Chat here earlier in the show. It's that little money sign. Put in the dollar amount, and you send it in. Any Super Chat, you're going to get on the show. We're going to answer your question, or if you have a comment, or if you just want to say thanks, we'll put you up on screen. We'll give you some love. Then $10 Super Chats today. We got these Bean-Boozled jelly beans for $10 here. We're starting to run a little bit low. We have to get a new package here, but we got a bunch of these beans. I mean, some of these, they're, if you don't know what the Bean-Boozled jelly beans are, Cully, they are the bad tasting jelly beans, all right? So we got some stinky socks, we got barf, we got dirty dishwater, we got dead fish, booger, rotten egg, liver and onions, stink bug, and old bandage, all right? So if you want us to see, us, scarf down a couple of these nasty tasting jelly beans, $10 is all it will take to see that. And then $20, you get your name on the F the Cowboys hat currently being worn by producer Cully. We already got a couple big names on there. We got IQ Barbecue. We got a bunch of different names on there. Omar's Burner, I'm not sure if we have your name on the F the Cowboys hat yet, so I saw you down there. If you want to get your name on the F the Cowboys hat, $20 super chat to do so. And then if you send in $20 as well, not only will you get your name on the F the Cowboys hat, but Coley and I will have to do 2 Bean-Boozled jelly beans at the same time. So 2 nasty flavors at the same time. So if you send in a 20, get your name on the hat, and we both have to do 2 disgusting jelly beans. So listen, guys, it's going to be a lot of fun today. We got 4 segments for you guys. It's going to be pretty jam-packed. We usually only do 3 segments, but today we wanted to get 4 segments in for you guys. So we're going to get into our first segment here coming up, but before we get into that, make sure you go down there in the live chat and spam me down there in the comments section. Spam me if you have already clicked that thumbs up icon. We got 79 people watching around the world, only 25 likes. I want to get to at least 30 likes here before we get into our first segment. So we need 5 more likes. So click that thumbs up icon right now and type me for a shout out here. Shout out to Steven. Shout out to Uptown Dre. Shout out to Jaquan. Shout out to Tejuan. Shout out to, hope I'm saying this right, Kraylink Tattoo. We got a bunch of people in the chat. We got Gene. We got Jasmine. We got Christopher. We got Ebony. We got Omar's Burner in here. We got a bunch of great folks down in the comment section. We got Timothy. We got Commando Mike. We got Ebony Wright. We got a bunch of great people in the chat getting ready for some Commanders content here on YouTube. And on today's show, we got the latest Commanders news and rumors to cover. A trade rumor surrounding Mr. Oh, here we go. We got a $20 super chat from my man Omar's Burner coming in here with a 20. Hadn't had his name on the hat yet. So, Cully, toss me over the hat real quick. We'll put his name on the hat.
After you, sir.
All right, where do we put Omar's Burner on here? Let's put him right here. Omar's Burner.
Let's get it. Let's get me on the F the Cowboys hat. Already know they're taking a huge L week 5 on Sunday Night Football. June 1st is also rapidly approaching. Prayer emoji, Ayuk.
Oh, by the way. So that's what he's saying. Let's get me up. Yeah, so the Cowboys play the Steelers in week 5. So yes, I do think the Steelers will beat them in week 5. I think that'll be a big embarrassing loss for the Cowgirls. June 1st also rapidly approaching, and he's hoping for Ayuk. All right, so we're going to be talking about T. Higgins on the show today. Cully, here's your hat back.
Appreciate
Mr. Omar's Burner is right front and center there. So appreciate your $20 super chat there, Mr. Omar, which means in Cully, I mean, this is kind of rough for you because this is your first Bean-Boozled jelly bean ever, and you're going to have to eat 2 of them.
Ugh.
At the same time.
I know. Now you got me wearing this hat. Now you got me doing this Bean-Boozled thing, man.
All right. So what flavors do you have? I have liver and onions. That's this brown one. And then I got the rotten egg, the yellow one. Which one do you have?
So I'm not sure of the flavors, but I got orange and yellow. Do you know what those flavors
So
are?
orange is either going to be dead fish or barf. And then yellow is for sure rotten egg.
Okay.
So so it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad, but we're not playing the odds here, my friend. So here's to Omar's Burner to kick off today's show. Coley, you have to finish it. You have to finish it. Those are the rules.
Just wondering where our trash can is. That was definitely a rotten egg. Oh my god. Jesus.
Goodness gracious, man.
Oh.
All right, that's the best way to start the show right there, man. Okay, let's get into our first segment right now. We got 39 people that have already liked the show. And by the way, Commander Cully, our producer today, said if we get to $100 in super chats today, he's going to do a boot for you guys. He's going to chug a boot full. I mean, if you guys don't know what a Das Boot is, it fits 3 beers in that thing, and he's going to chug it for you. Let me tell you, if you've seen Jeremy Chugs, chug a beer or chug a boot, this guy challenges him for the fastest boot in the office. So it's really a marvel to see. So let's get to $100 in super chats today. 20, you get your name on the hat. We get some Bean-Boozleds going for you guys. Really do appreciate all of your support. So let's get into this first segment here, Mr. Producer Coley. We got the latest news and rumors surrounding the Washington Commanders. Today on the Commanders Report, could the Commanders trade for wide receiver T. Higgins before the start of the 2024 season? A new trade rumor was just linking Higgins to the Commanders, so we'll get into that. Then we got Chris Sims and Pro Football Focus putting out their quarterback rankings and ranking Jayden Daniels among other starting quarterbacks in the National Football League. Then we'll talk about De'Ami Brown, the wide receiver here, and whether or not he's going to get cut by the Washington Commanders heading into the 2024 campaign. And we'll finish up today's show with a Commanders owner here saying that they're not going to change the team name. I'm going to give my thoughts on that at the end of today's show, so make sure you don't go anywhere. And today, we actually have a like battle with our, frenemies here at Chat Sports, the Cowboys Report. Now, we know the Cowboys Report likes to be particularly, big-headed, because they call themselves America's team and all these different things. And the host of the Cowboys Report, Tom Downey, has this to say about the Commanders. There's nothing I love more than talking smack to Commanders fans because they can't say anything. Their team doesn't even hold a candle next to America's team. What a joke of a fan base. Have fun commanding last place in the division again, folks. So Tom Downey, as the Cowboys host, he has definitely got a big mouth on him. Let's shut it for him right now by winning today's like battle. Yesterday, the Cowboys Report had over 1,000 likes. I think we can beat this. Let's try to get up to 1,200 likes here and show the Cowboys Report who's boss. Then today's top story, we're going to go over a little bit of a trade rumor here, a little bit of a trade idea from Bleacher Report that says that Washington should pursue Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins. Of course, Higgins requested a trade earlier this offseason. And Bleacher Report, this is their idea for a potential trade package. So the Commanders would receive T. Higgins, who's a really good receiver. You can say he's a borderline number one type receiver, really good number two receiver, that's for sure. And then the Bengals would receive next year's second-round pick from the Commanders and the Commanders' fourth-round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. This idea was brought out by Bleacher Report's Maurice Moten, who said this about the potential trade. Washington Commanders have the second most cap space with $43.4 million. They can allocate a chunk of that cap space to Higgins' new contract with the intent to do everything possible to help Jayden Daniels get off to a quick career start. And listen, man, I'm intrigued by this idea because we've kind of been going over some trade ideas for wide receivers here on the channel and how it could help Jayden Daniels in his first year. And T. Higgins is among the top of the list in terms of overall talented wide receivers that could be got in a trade during the 2024 offseason. However, this trade idea does include 2 draft picks in next year's NFL Draft, and the Commanders only have 6 draft picks to their name right now, 1 for each round. And if you give up that round 2 pick and that round 4 pick, that only leaves you with 2 picks in the first 3 rounds and only 4 picks overall. So is it really worth giving up 2 of your picks next year for a wide receiver when the wide receiver room here in Washington is already pretty good? Now, I think that there's a case for getting T. Higgins and a case against getting T. Higgins. The case for getting him is that adding another stud wide receiver like Higgins, somebody with a big body, we know this Commanders wide receiver room kind of lacks some size. Getting a guy at the size of T. Higgins with his long arms and big catch radius could certainly help Jayden Daniels early on in his career, and it could make the Commanders wide receiver room one of the most dangerous in the game, and we know that can make things easier for a rookie quarterback in Jayden Daniels as he looks to acclimate himself inside the National Football League. However, the case against going out and making this type of trade is that Washington needs those draft picks and the cap space in the future to build their offensive line because, let's face it, man, we've talked about it on the show here. It's probably a bottom 5 offensive line, at least on paper right now. And heading into future years, into the draft, into free agency, you're going to have to spend capital on building up that O-line and quickly, or else Jayden Daniels is going to be behind an offensive line that's just not very good for the first couple years of his career, and that could potentially break him, which of course is something you do not want to happen. So trading these two picks in next year's draft could prove very costly in the Commanders' ability to go out and build an offensive line to protect Jayden Daniels. Now let me know down there in the comments section, would you accept this trade to bring T. Higgins to the Washington Commanders, giving up a second rounder and a fourth rounder to get the receiver from Cincinnati? Plus, you're going to have to give him a brand new contract. You got to keep that in mind too. Type A if you're going to accept it, or type D if you're going to decline it. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. So for me, guys, I'm definitely leaning towards declining. If it's just a second-round pick, I'd definitely be more intrigued. But the fact that you're giving up 2 draft picks in a future draft here that you really need to use to build, a future roster that's going to lay the foundation for success in the future, particularly on the offensive line. And as we know, guys, Cornelius Lucas is not the long-term answer at left tackle. Brandon Coleman, we're hoping, is the long-term answer, but I have my doubts about Coleman as well. Nick Allegretti at left guard this year has never been a full-time starter in the National Football League, and he's expected to be that for the Commanders this year. I have doubts about him as well. Tyler Biadasz is fine, but he's more of a Band-Aid. I'm not sure if he's a long-term answer for the Commanders at that center position. Then Andrew Wiley just came off a season where he gave up 9 sacks, and he's not getting any younger. So this is definitely an offensive line that is in dire straits right now, and in future years, you're going to have to use this draft capital, use that cap space to really build this offensive line in future years, so you're not putting Jayden Daniels in a place to have failure instead of success behind that offensive line. So still to come here on the Commanders Report, we're going to be talking about Chris Sims and Pro Football Focus and where they rank Jayden Daniels among starting quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Then we'll get into De'Ami Brown and whether or not the Commanders might consider cutting him before the 2024 season. And then we'll finish up today's show by talking about a Commanders owner talking about the team name situation and why they're leaning towards keeping that team name for the future. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Fanatics. And they're currently selling brand new, officially licensed Jayden Daniels Commanders jerseys on their website right now when you go to chatsports.com/Daniels. And guys, if you want a way to support our channel and do all these different things, and you want a Jayden Daniels jersey, this is your opportunity to do both at the same time, because if you use our link, chatsports.com/Daniels, I'll put that in the link in the comments and description so you guys can find it. If you use that link and you go and make a purchase, Fanatics is going to send part of the proceeds to us so we can get more Commanders content to you guys every single day. So if you appreciate what we do for you here at the Commanders Report, you want a new Jayden Daniels jersey, this is your opportunity to get both of those things done. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone by going to chatsports.com/Daniels and getting your new Jayden Daniels Commanders jersey in your closet today. So this is where Chris Sims and Pro Football Focus ranked Jayden Daniels amongst current starting quarterbacks. So Pro Football Focus on their list had Jayden 27th, and then Chris Sims put Jayden 28th, and the 3rd-ranked rookie quarterback on his list. So this is what Trevor Sikkema from Pro Football Focus had to say about Daniels. Daniels' dual threat abilities give him a high floor right away with how much stress he can put on a defense, bringing a constant threat of picking up yards with his legs. Daniels' passing will surely be a work in progress, going from LSU's potent offense to facing NFL talent, but he and offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury should be a good match. So pretty decent analysis there from Trevor. Now let's go over to Chris Sims and what he had to say about the number 2 overall pick. Does he need some work here and there? Yes, sure, but there is a lot more to build on than anything. He is a constant machine for the most part. He's got a great motion, which he can replicate time after time and make any throw on the field. All of that, and then, of course, his get-out-of-jail-free card with his running ability. But something specific here that I'm taking issue with here with Chris Sims is that he has some quarterbacks ranked above Jayden Daniels here that I'm just not even sure are better than Jayden heading into next year. I mean, Michael Penix Jr. isn't even going to play in his first season. I think Jayden is probably a little bit better than Michael at this point in their respective careers. Will Levis did not play very well last year. Outside of that Miami game there in Tennessee, I think Jayden could certainly be better than him this year. Justin Fields is going to be a backup in Pittsburgh. I think that, probably Jayden's better than Justin right now. And then, Deshaun Watson has been absolutely terrible in Cleveland. Jacoby Brissett and Joe Flacco have been better than him in his 2 years in Cleveland. I mean, why are we putting him so high up the list? And then Daniel Jones was arguably the worst starting quarterback in football last year. Why is he so far up the list here, Chris? Somebody please explain this to me here. I think that Jayden Daniels could easily be better than all of these quarterbacks who are currently ranked higher on Chris Sims' list. And 28 it might be a little bit low for my liking. And personally, guys, I'd probably put Daniels, he is a rookie. He does need to establish himself. But based on what I saw from him on his film there at LSU, man. He's a pretty darn good mental processor, super accurate with the football. Obviously, he has that rushing ability, which only moves him up the ranks. I would probably put him mid to early 20s at this point, depending on, certain things, depending on how much you factor in the rushing ability. And I really do think Jayden brings a lot of good stuff to the table. For my scouting report here from him at LSU, man, obviously the dynamic rushing stuff is there, but the thing that goes underrated, in my opinion, is as somebody who is a legit dynamic rusher, he is somebody that's relatively polished as a passer. Good pocket footwork, good pocket feel, really good touch on his deep ball down the field, and really good accuracy brought on by really consistent throwing mechanics. Now, some of the cons I had on him is that he needs to protect his body better. With that skinny frame, taking the kinds of hits that he did in the SEC, he was a little bit lucky he didn't get a pretty major injury last year. I have a feeling that that's not going to fly in the NFL. He's going to have to learn how to slide, get down, protect his body. Then also, when he's going outside the pocket and out of structure, he doesn't really go as a passer all that often. It's like he's got his reads, and then once he's outside of structure, he's pretty much solely a rusher. Now, is this something that could develop in the National Football League? Absolutely. And like I say there, I think he's a potential superstar quarterback in the National Football League. And I think he's going to show a lot of really good flashes in his rookie season here in Washington. So fill in the blank for me down there in the comments. Jayden Daniels will be a top blank quarterback in the NFL this season, his rookie year. Let me know what you guys think about JD down there in the comments section. Now, before I go, I do have some final items to discuss, and we'll start here with Dyami Brown, where Bleacher Report listed him as a potential cut candidate for the Washington Commanders and says they say it's relatively likely that Washington is going to cut Dyami Brown this season after, a string of very disappointing years for Dyami after Washington took him relatively early a couple years back. Now, personally, guys, I think Brown fits what Jayden Daniels likes to do. He's a downfield threat, and, he hasn't had the best quarterback play. All those targets went to Terry, and they went to Jahan, and they went to Logan Thomas, right? So Dyami is somebody that I think in this pass-heavy offense can actually carve out a role for himself here. Luke McCaffrey, I think, is going to have to take a little bit of time to really establish himself in the starting lineup. I think Dyami Brown is going to be probably either wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4. And in this offense where you're going to see a lot of 4 receiver sets, I just don't see any way Dyami Brown doesn't make the team in 2024. Now, another story here that's kind of drawing eyes here from Commanders fans is that Commanders owner and the wife of Josh Harris, Marjorie Harris, says that the team is keeping the name, quote-unquote, for now. This is what the Commanders owner had to say. Quite frankly, I had a whole day out in the community, and I kept referring to the team as the Commanders. And you know what? Sounds pretty good to me. So for now, it's the Commanders. So listen, man, I'm not sure if the wife of a billionaire really goes out all that much and talks amongst the people. But, as somebody that does do that for a living here, and I understand how this fan base kind of thinks, they don't like the name Commanders, Marjorie. They just don't, all right? It feels like a quarter of the fan base still refers to the old names here in Washington. They hate it so much, right? So I'm not sure if they actually like it as much as Marjorie Harris does. And I personally, guys, I really do hope that they end up making a change at some point because Commanders, let's face it, guys, it's not the best name in the world. Now, let me know down there in the comments section, do you like the name Commanders as a team name? I'm interested in this because I want to get a little bit of a poll going to kind of see if Marjorie Harris's pulse of the Commanders fan base is actually real. Give me a yes or no if you like the team name Commanders for this franchise. That'll be it for this news and rumors edition of Commanders Report by Chat Sports. I really do appreciate all of your support. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And don't forget, click that thumbs up icon so we can beat the Cowboys report in our like battle. First segment out of the way here, Commander Cully. Oh, we got a $20 Super Tech coming in from Commando Mike. Let's go. Everybody spam Mike in the chat. I want to see people giving love to Mike for that $20 Super Chat. Commando says, thanks for everything you guys do. Keep the awesome content. Appreciate you, Commando Mike. Thank you. And he said, I think this is a first-time super chat. It is. It's a first-time super chatter. Commando Mike, thank you so much, my friend. $20 super chat. So hand me the hat. Commando Mike is going on the hat here.
Yes, sir.
Let's put Commando Mike.
Shout out to you, sir.
Commando.
What a legend.
Shout out the people down there in the comments that are spamming Mike.
Yeah. Shout them out. Shout them out. We got FXGB.
Here you go, my friend.
Thank you.
We got Jonathan Taylor down there. We got Lonnie. We got Jasmine. We got Demetrius. We got JG. We got Mr. Francis. We got DMV. We got Jasmine. We got Motion. Got a bunch of people in the chat right now, man. And you know what that means? The $20 super chat means more Bean-Boozleds here, Mr. Cully. So here's your two.
Alrighty here. Ooh, I got a blue and a green. What flavors we got here?
So you're going to have either toothpaste or booger. So those are the two. For me, I got rotten egg and then stink bug for mine. All right. Here's to you, Commando Mike, for that 20. Oh, you know the rules, Cooley. Don't spit this shit out.
It's very minty.
It's minty?
I definitely got the toothpaste.
Did you get the booger one, too?
I think I might have. Oh.
I definitely got stink bug.
Oh, luckily the mint, I think, drowned that out. Oh.
Commando Mike, thank you so much, my friend.
Yeah, I need some water. Jesus.
Ugh. Ooh. God, that tastes so bad, man. Thank God this pack is almost running out. By the way, we're about $60 away from a producer Cully boot. All right, so Cully said he would do a boot for us today. And by the way, guys, you want to see this because he holds it with one hand and he just chugs the whole thing in like 8 seconds. That's 3 beers worth in like 8 seconds, guys. So if we can get $60 more in super chats, we're going to get that done for you guys. We got 3 more segments coming your way. Later in today's show, we got the Q&A portion. So if you want to get your question, your comment, whatever on the show, hashtag Commanders or be like Commando Mike and send in a $20 super chat to get your question on today's Q&A. Coley, let's get to this next segment here.
Okay.
Which is going to be our buy, sell, or hold segment here. So you've come up with a bunch of different scenarios here for me to either buy stock in it, sell stock in it, or hold stock in that particular situation. Can't wait to see what you got for me here, producer Coley. Make sure you continue to get your questions in before our mailbag that's going to be coming later into today's show, and get your super chats in if you want your name on the F the Cowboys hat, more Bean-Boozleds. We got more stuff coming your way here throughout this live edition of the Commanders Report. But for now, let's get to this next segment here, buy, sell, or hold. Welcome into the Commanders Report. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and today I'm going to tell you which Commanders rumors you should buy, sell, or hold stock in here. I got producer Cully, Commander Cully, that's going to be giving me some scenarios here, and I'm going to tell you whether to buy, sell, or hold on that particular scenario. So if you're ready to raise hail, talking about hail to the Commanders there, type raise hail down there in the comment section if you are excited for this next era of Commanders football. We have a new owner, have a new GM, have a new head coach, have a new franchise quarterback. Everything is new with this franchise, and it feels super hopeful and optimistic for the future. So if you're ready to rock, type raise hail down there in the comment section to let me know. All right, producer Coley, what you got for me here?
All right, buy, sell, or hold. The Commanders' defense will be at least top 15 this year. Buy, sell, or hold, Mr. Sperry.
So that's about league average. So above league average. I love Dan Quinn, man. I think he's a defensive genius. I'm going to say hold on this, though. All right, I think in future years, give it another year, definitely going to be in the top 15. All right, but, this certain style of offense, or defense, I should say, did it really work? Or can it work outside of a system that doesn't include Micah Parsons? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how Frankie Louvu, Jamin Davis, Bobby Wagner kind of fill that blitzing linebacker type role that they have in this system. And I think that they're going to try to get Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and Johnny Newton on the field at the same time, kind of using Johnny Newton as like a 3-4 defensive end type. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But at the end of the day, I'm going to say hold for this because I think the secondary, particularly on the outside cornerback position, it's rough. All right, Emmanuel Forbes, super skinny player, can't really hold up against bigger wide receivers. And until he adds weight, he's never going to be able to do that, unfortunately. Then you get Michael Davis and Benjamin St-Juste, and those guys are kind of like replacement-level starters, in my opinion. They're not anything special, and, I just don't know if they have anybody that can line up with some of the best true number one receivers in the game, like the A.J. Browns of the world and all these top receivers, CeeDee Lamb, all these guys that line up on the outside. I'm not sure if the Commanders have somebody that can keep up with them one-on-one, and that's going to limit what they can do on defense this year. So I think that this defense will punch above its weight, but I'm not sure if they're going to be quite top 15 this year.
All righty. Buy, sell, or hold. Our man, Johnny Newton, will win Defensive Rookie of the Year. What say you, Mr. Sperry?
I'm going to have to say sell on this one, Cully. I love Johnny. I think he's going to be a great player for this defense for a long time. But, he's dealing with that foot surgery. He had 2 separate foot surgeries this offseason, okay? So who knows how he's going to come off of that. And also, we still don't fully know if he's going to be ready to go for the start of the season. So, if he's missing games at the start of the year, it's going to be really tough for him to really get back in that Defensive Rookie of the Year race. So I'm looking for flashes. I'm looking for production towards the end of the season. I'm looking for disruption on tape from him. I'm not necessarily looking for hardware when it comes to Johnny Newton here in 2024. So let me know down there in the comments section, what say you? What is the percent chance that Johnny Newton wins Defensive Rookie of the Year this year? Put it on a scale of 0 to 100 for me down there in the comment section. It's going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by putting it on a scale of 0 to 100.
All righty. Jonathan Allen, man, the myth, the legend. Will he still be with the Commanders in the year of 2025?
Ooh, so Jonathan is actually in the middle of a bunch of trade rumors for this offseason. So the question is, he's got 2 years left on his contract. Does he make it to the 2025 season and still, he's still on the Commanders? I think that he will. I'm going to say buy with caution here, okay? Because obviously Jonathan could always demand a trade, right? If the Commanders have another tough start to their season or whatever, he might at the trade deadline say, get me out of here, trade me somewhere else. That's certainly a possibility. But I think that he's really excited. And when you listen to him talk in press conferences, he's really excited about this new coaching staff, this new defense, the plan that they have in place for it. And I think he's going to be a very crucial part in a pass rush, which is going to really surprise some people this year, in my opinion. So I think he's going to want to stay, and I think he'll be here with the Commanders even next season. So coming up here on the Commanders Report, we got more scenarios. Producer Coley has more scenarios to run with me here today with you guys. But before we get into the rest of today's segment, go ahead and go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the PrizePicks app today and use our code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. And PrizePicks has specials for new and returning users alike for the NBA Finals. Again, when you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the PrizePicks app today. And the NBA Finals mean more on PrizePicks, and so do the star players. You get boosted payouts on select basketball stars that you won't find anywhere else. And PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. You can see my PrizePicks projection here for the final for the 5th game of the Western Conference Finals here. I got the less on the three-pointers made for Luka. I took the more on Jayden Daniels for three-pointers made, and I took the more on points for Karl Anthony Towns, currently set at 19.5. PrizePicks is super simple to play, folks. All you have to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and then watch the winnings roll in if you can get all of them right. Get started now if you haven't already at prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the PrizePicks app today. Get a first-time deposit match up to $100 when you use our code CLNS. With PrizePicks, you can pick more or you can pick less. It is that easy.
Alrighty. Ben Sinnott. will be good immediately in the NFL?
So, if you know anything about the tight end position, not everybody is a Sam Laporta, right, where they're just good immediately. So I'm going to say sell here. And, this concerns me a little bit, at least for this season, because you have Zach Ertz, who's pretty much a carcass at this point in his career. Super slow. He's not going to be much of an impact, in my opinion. I think he's going to be more of a mentor for Sinnott. And hopefully 2-3 years down the line, Sinnott with his short burst ability, the quickness that he brings to the table at his size, that's going to allow him to be a true safety blanket for Jayden Daniels. So I'll say sell on the rookie year kind of sensation type thing. I think it's going to take 2 or 3 years because he is somebody that does need a little bit of development. But I think he has a good chance of eventually getting there, and especially with a guy like Zach Ertz mentoring him and kind of teaching him the ropes of the NFL, I think he'll eventually get there, probably just not in his rookie season. So make sure you guys like the video right now if you haven't already. If you are a Commanders Report real one, you've clicked that subscribe button and all these different things. You support our channel, you watch our videos to the end every single time. Really do appreciate all of your support. So if you're a real one, make sure you click that subscribe button right now. All right, next one, Cully.
The Commanders will win a playoff game within the next 2 years. They're due, right?
Within the next 2 years. So I don't think they will win one this year. I'm not particularly confident they'll make the playoffs this year. I think this will be more of a developmental year for this roster and for this team. But you know what? I'll say hold on this because I think in year 2 of the Dan Quinn era here, things could get really good for this team very quickly, especially if Jayden Daniels continues to develop in year 2, especially if this offensive line gets better next offseason and they're able to, or Brandon Coleman comes out of nowhere and he's awesome, right? There's certainly ways in which this team can get to the playoffs and win a playoff game within the next 2 years. Don't think it'll be this year, but watch out for year 2.
All right. Dyami Brown, great last name, by the way, will be cut by the team this year. You think that'll happen?
Cut by the team. I don't think he will be cut. I'm going to say sell on this one because I look at Cliff Kingsbury's offense and, you got all the spread formations, 4 receivers on the field at one time, all this stuff he loves to run. It just seems like I don't know if Dyami Brown is bad enough to really get rid of. I think that he's arguably the number 3 receiver on this football team right now. Why would you get rid of him? Why would you give up a player like that, especially somebody that, has a good skill set of getting open down the field? I think he's been kind of, let's say, cucked, by, bad quarterback play and poor offensive play calling. And, Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson are ahead of him in the progressions and everything. So I think, this poor offensive play has kind of screwed him a bit. But now he's paired with a guy in Jayden Daniels where I think can effectively get him the football. And I'm excited to see what Dyami Brown can do this year in Cliff Kingsbury's offense.
All right, last one. Frankie Louvu leads the team in sacks this year. Buy, sell, or hold.
Wouldn't surprise me here, Cully. It really wouldn't. I'm going to say buy with caution here because there's a bunch of guys, in my opinion, that could lead the team in sacks. Could be Jamin Davis. It could be Bobby Wagner. It kind of depends on who they use as that hybrid linebacker more often. I think it's going to be Louvu the most, but then also you got the 2 guys in the middle, right? You got Jonathan Allen and you got Daron Payne. Both are super instinctual and great pass rushers in their own right. You got the young stud in Johnny Newton, where if you watch his film, all he does is win on tape, and he's super disruptive. Dorrance Armstrong was super productive in Dallas's system when he was playing there. So I think that there's a lot of people that could lead the team in sacks. I think this pass rush is going to be better than expected. But I think Frankie Louvu, is one of the best blitzing linebackers in the game today. He's awesome in that regard, and I think that's why he's going to be used as that hybrid blitzing linebacker in this scheme here. And I think he's going to get a lot of production this year, and I think that there's a very good chance that he could lead the team in sacks here in 2024. That'll be it for today's Buy, Sell, or Hold segment here. If you made it to the end, I really do appreciate your support. If you're a real one, you made it to the end, go ahead and type real one down there in the comment section in all caps to let me know that you made it to the end of today's show. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. I really do appreciate your support. And until next time, folks, hail to the Commanders. All right, so still to come, we got the Commanders Report mailbag. Make sure you use hashtag Commanders or Super Chat down there in the comment section. We're still $60 away from a Cully boot. So we need producer Cully to chug down a boot today, all right? It's his first live show here as the producer of the Commanders Report. We need to get him going here. $60 more till we get a Cully boot. We got 2 more segments to go, so we still got some time here, but clock is ticking, all right? Let's get it going right now. Get those questions in the chat if you haven't already. Hashtag Commanders or Super Chat. Here's our Super Chat menu today, guys. Any Super Chat, you're going to get a shout out. We're going to put it up on the screen. Put it up on the show for everybody to see. $10 Super Chats, Bean-Boozled jelly beans, and then $20, you get your name on the F the Cowboy hat that Cully is currently wearing right now. And then also, Cully and I have to eat 2 Bean-Boozled jelly beans at the same time if you send a $20 Super Chat. So coming up next year, guys, we got the Pro Football Focus roster breakdown. They have 6 different categories where they list the biggest strength, the biggest weakness, the X Factor, rookie to watch. They got a bunch of interesting things to watch out for here in 2024. So after I take this sip here, we'll get into that segment.
Yep. Also, again, if you want to like the video too, we're about 24 likes away from 100 likes.
Let's get to 100 likes. Let's get to $100 in supers. Let's get to 100 likes. Easy. And Cully's gonna suck down a whole boot. All right, let's get that.
Sounds good.
Let's get it going right now. All right, let's get into this next segment here. Pro Football Focus roster breakdown for your 2024 Washington Commanders. Today on the Commanders Report, I'm going to be reacting to Pro Football Focus's full roster breakdown of the Washington Commanders heading into the 2024 season. And listen, guys, Pro Football Focus, they make you guys pay $25 a month for their services, guys. It's absolutely ridiculous. But today, we're going to be talking about what they wrote in their article for free. All right, so the biggest strength, biggest weakness, the X factor for 2024, their rookie to watch, the over-under 6.5 wins, and then their overall ranking among teams in the National Football League. So, guys, like I said, $25 a month is the asking price for Pro Football Focus Premium. That's ridiculous, all right? So today on the Commanders Report, we're going to give you this premium content 100% free. So make sure you click that subscribe button right now for free premium content on your Washington Commanders right here on YouTube. Okay, so now let's get to who Pro Football Focus thinks is the biggest strength of, or what is the biggest strength of the Commanders heading into the year. It's the rushing offense, led, of course, by Brian Robinson Jr. This is what the Pro Football Focus staff had to say about the Commanders' run game. The Commanders struggled across the board last season, but ranked 15th in rushing grade. Capable ball carriers like Brian Robinson and Chris Rodriguez Jr. led the way. The incumbent running backs, along with new quarterback Jayden Daniels, should give Washington a functional rushing attack in 2024 and beyond. Now, guys, when it comes to the rushing attack, I think the issue is if you don't have a good or at least a decent offensive line, it almost doesn't matter who your running backs are and who's carrying the football. There's going to be defenders to take them down. And right now, I mean, the reality is the Commanders' offensive line, I mean, Andrew Wiley's coming back as the starting right tackle. He gave up 9 sacks last year. Tyler Biadasz is as, middle of the road as it gets at center. I guess that's an improvement, but it doesn't really inspire confidence. Nick Allegretti has never been a full-time starter. Cornelius Lucas was okay, I guess, in relief of Charles Leno Jr. last year at left tackle. But is he really a legit starting left tackle in the league? I really don't think so. The left side of the offensive line is definitely in dire straits right now. And listen, having good running backs like Brian Robinson Jr., I think Chris Rodriguez Jr. is going to surprise some people this year as well. Plus, having a quarterback that gives you a numbers advantage in Jayden Daniels with the run game is going to help out quite a bit. But, at the end of the day, man, if you don't have a good offensive line, it's really hard to get the run game going. You're not able to move the line of scrimmage. There's defenders in the backfield. Your running backs and your quarterback have to be really effective at making guys miss and getting into the open field on their own. And, I just think at the end of the day here, it's probably not going to be the biggest strength of the Commanders' offense this year. I think that, or just in general, they think this is going to be the best thing about the Commanders roster, period. I think the best thing about this Commanders roster heading into next year is going to be the pass rush led by Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Dorrance Armstrong. You're bringing in Johnny Newton. And then you have some really good linebackers this year as well that all know how to blitz. Frankie Louvu is going to be playing that hybrid kind of blitz linebacker role this year. And you also have Jamin Davis, who's playing a little bit of that role in OTAs right now. Bobby Wagner is still one of the best blitzing linebackers in football. So there's going to be a lot of people at the line of scrimmage. There's going to be a lot of rotating pieces. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff brought on by new head coach Dan Quinn and his new defensive play caller, Joe Witt Jr. And I talk about what I expect the Commanders' defense to look like in this video right here. That's what the thumbnail looks like. I'm going to put the link to that video in the comments and description. So if you want to know what the Commanders' defense is going to look like and why I'm super excited about the Commanders' pass rush heading into the future, make sure you go check out that video after you're done with today's video. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. What will be Washington's biggest strength heading into 2024? I think it's going to be the pass rush. Pro Football Focus thinks it's going to be the rushing offense. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. So now, Pro Football Focus thinks the biggest weakness for the Commanders this year will be the run defense. This is what they have to say about the front seven here in Washington. The Commanders allowed the most points in the NFL last season, and the primary culprit was a run defense unit that finished 31st in run defense grade last season. They've since added viable players at multiple levels, including linebackers Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu. Head coach Dan Quinn is making his new defense a priority. And listen, guys, I do think that the run defense should be a lot better this year. Bobby Wagner is still one of the best run-defending linebackers in football. I still think Jamin Davis has room to grow in that regard. Frankie Louvu is a very sound tackler as well. And if you can keep Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne healthy, they're not going to be able to run up the middle all that much, all right? So I think that this run defense, which was terrible last year in this Vic Fangio too-high safety-heavy type defense, I just don't really see that happening this year because you're going to have a guy like Jeremy Chin coming into the box as a true strong safety or even a hybrid linebacker. You're going to have probably one deep safety for most of your alignments this year. That's just the way Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. roll. So you're going to have a numbers advantage. You got some good players in here that know how to tackle. I think the run defense should be a lot better this year, and I don't think it's going to be as much of a weakness as Pro Football Focus is saying it's going to be. I think the biggest weakness is the O-line, which we've already talked about on today's show. It was definitely the biggest weakness of this offense last year. Couldn't protect the football. Didn't really provide much push for the run game. And, we've looked at this crew before, and, there just doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in me. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Nick Allegretti's freaking fantastic. Maybe Cornelius Lucas or Brandon Coleman comes out of nowhere and they're legit left tackles. Maybe Andrew Wiley rises from the ashes of his career and is awesome again. I don't know, man. Hopefully those things happen. But, just being somebody that knows the trends of this game and, all these different things, it's just not looking great up front offensively for the Commanders heading into the year. And I just don't know if this offensive line is really going to cut it in terms of really building a competitor here in 2024. If you continue to build it and it continues to get better, Brandon Coleman develops into something nice. Maybe Braden Daniels comes out of nowhere off his injury and develops into something nice. Maybe we can have a different discussion then. But right now, on paper, this offensive line is definitely a problem in my opinion. So still to come here on the Commanders Report, the X Factor for 2024, the rookie to watch, the over-under 6.5 wins, and then the overall team ranking, all from Pro Football Focus, coming up here in just a second. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks, and a big shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's edition of the Commanders Report. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the Prize Picks app today and use our code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. And Prize Picks has specials for new and returning users alike for the start of the NBA Finals. And the Finals mean more on Prize Picks, and so do the star players. You get boosted payouts on select basketball stars that you won't find anywhere else. Prize Picks is also America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community today. If you want an example of what kind of Prize Picks looks like, here's my actual Prize Picks projection for Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. I got the less on three-pointers made for Luka Doncic. I took the more on Jayden Daniels' three-pointers made at 1.5, and I took the more on points for Karl Anthony Towns at 19.5. If I get all these right, I get a nice little payout. It's a lot of fun, guys. It really does provide more juice to your viewing experience when you're watching the NBA playoffs, and with the finals on the horizon here, it's going to make it even more interesting. So Prize Picks is super simple to play. All you have to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if you get all of them right, or even if you do a flex play here, you can watch the winnings roll in. Get started now if you haven't already at prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the Prize Picks app today and get a first-time deposit match up to $100 when you use code CLNS. Pick more or pick less. It really is that easy with our friends at Prize Picks. So Pro Football Focus's X Factor for 2024 for the Commanders is going to be quarterback Jayden Daniels, and this is what the PFF staff had to say about the rookie QB. Washington brought in several veterans and put together a huge draft class, but the team's fate lies in the hands of second overall pick Jayden Daniels. The 2023 Heisman winner was the best player in college football last season. His dual threat ability should inject life into a team that has perpetually struggled to find a franchise quarterback. So listen, guys, I definitely think Jayden Daniels is obviously going to be important. I think he's going to be the week 1 starter. I think that he's going to be relatively ready to go. Heading into his first season, now playing behind, a rough offensive line is probably going to mean some problems for him heading into the league. He was protected extremely well at LSU. He's not really used to big-time NFL pressure like he's going to have to face this year, in my opinion. And that's going to be the X factor this year for the Commanders. It's going to be the offensive line, because if the offensive line can prove me wrong, okay, and Braden Daniels comes out of nowhere and starts somewhere, and then Brandon Coleman plays really well, if Andrew Wiley has a good season, and, Tyler Biadasz is solid, and Nick Allegretti has a good season. Who knows? If all that stuff happens, yeah, this team could probably make the playoffs this year. Jayden Daniels, I think, is a pretty polished quarterback heading into the league. He's going to bring value as a rusher. You got really good receivers. I think the defense is going to punch above its weight this year because of all the different games and stunts and all these different things they're going to do in the pass rush. So I think that if the O-line can prove me wrong, can kind of punch above their weight, so to speak, I think that this team could be a potential playoff contender. Okay, a team that could make the playoffs as a wild card or something along those lines. But at the end of the day, guys, it is very hard to be a good team in the NFL, especially on the offensive side of the ball, if you can't dominate the trenches, if you can't win, can't move the line of scrimmage, you can't run the football. I mean, the offensive line, it's the foundational building block for a reason, and I still think the Commanders have significant problems in that area. Now, when it comes to the rookie to watch, Pro Football Focus says you should be watching Johnny Newton, the defensive tackle from Illinois. This is what Pro Football Focus had to say about Johnny Newton. Assuming Newton is healthy moving forward, Washington got an absolute steal in the second round. He was the most consistent interior defender in college football over the past 2 seasons while at Illinois. His talent and versatility should help a defensive line that finished 29th in overall grade last season. Now, I have no problem with keeping your eye on Johnny Newton. I think he's going to have an awesome rookie season. But because I didn't name Jayden Daniels as my X Factor, he's going to be my rookie to watch. Because obviously, when you have a quarterback taken at number 2 overall, you're going to keep a close eye on him because, he is skinny. He is electric as a rusher. He's got a very interesting physical profile and, throwing profile as well, because he did have so many weapons and good protection there at LSU. Now that he's thrown into a situation where the offensive line maybe isn't going to be the best in the world, how is he going to be able to react to that, especially with the new speed that he's going to have to be facing in NFL defenses? I'm expecting some really great flashes from Jayden Daniels this year, but with the offensive line play, what I expect it to be, I do think there's going to be some bumps in the road here for JD. Now, before we get into the rest of today's show, make sure you click that thumbs up icon if you are a Commanders Report Real One. If you support our show, you click that subscribe button, you watch all of our videos that we put up on the channel. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. And if you are a real one, you know that liking today's video is the fastest and easiest way to support our channel. So what are you waiting for? Click that thumbs up icon right now. So Pro Football Focus's guess as to whether the Commanders will hit the over or the under for their current 6.5 wins projected They're going to go with the under, okay? And this is their reasoning for why they think they're going to underperform their projection this year. While it wouldn't be surprising to see the Commanders approach or even surpass this win total, they are still starting a rookie quarterback and need immense improvement on defense. This season is more about Daniels and the rest of the rookie class progressing than it is about any number of victories. So for me, guys, I think that they might get over, and I'm going to project that they get over. Okay, in my official record prediction where I break down every single game, I landed on 7 wins for the Commanders. So I think they get over, but just over 6.5 wins this year. If you want to see my full record prediction where I break down every single game, I get my win-loss projection for all 17 games, you can go check that one out. It's also in the comments and description of today's show. Link in the comments and description. Make sure you check it out after today's show. If you want to see all 7 games, I think the Commanders will win in 2024. Now it's your turn. Over or under? Will Washington be over or under 6.5 wins for the 2024 season? Give me an O if you think over, or type U if you think they're going to be under. Then Pro Football Focus overall ranking here. They ranked all 32 NFL rosters and teams. They had the Commanders at 27th, okay? And, there's a lot of people that have them lower than this. So I think this is actually pretty generous by Pro Football Focus, especially given the offensive line play that they have currently. But there's just a few teams that they had lower than the Commanders, right? You have the Arizona Cardinals, the New England Patriots, the Carolina Panthers, the New York Giants, and the Denver Broncos. And honestly, man, the Commanders play a lot of these teams next year. They play the Cardinals, right? They play the Panthers. They play the Giants twice. So if the Pro Football Focus is correct here and, Commanders are better than those teams, that's a pretty much guaranteed 4 wins for the Washington Commanders next season, which I think we all hope actually ends up happening, because you got to beat the Cardinals, you got to beat the Panthers, and you got to beat the Giants, because those teams are in pretty dire straits right now. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now if you haven't already for more premium Commanders content for free every single day right here on YouTube. All right, Mr. Commander Cully, still $60 away. So we're 3 $20 super chats away from you drinking a boot at the end of this thing. We're about to get into our Commanders Report mailbag here. So if you haven't gotten your question here, I actually see down there in the chat, JG says Sainristil is the rookie to watch. I actually kind of agree with that, Cully. Outside of Jayden Daniels, I think the defensive rookie to really keep your eye on is Mike Sainristil out of Michigan. He's awesome, man. He's going to be one of the best slot defenders in football from the start. I think Johnny Newton, because he's coming off both feet, getting procedures done this offseason. It might take him a little bit to get back. Mike Sainristil, I think he's going to be really good immediately.
Yeah, no, I think he could potentially be the star of this cornerback room from really the first month. I mean, he's coming in with a lot of high praise. Obviously, he was a big playmaker in his last year at Michigan, where I think he had 6 interceptions, if I'm not mistaken, in his last year. So he is a guy to definitely look out for. And like you mentioned, with Johnny Newton still recovering from that foot injury, we're not sure what kind of health.
2 foot injuries.
2 foot injuries. Excuse me. So
it's kind of crazy, man. He had the same exact surgery on each foot this offseason. So how is he going? Is he going to be back 100% when he gets back? I mean, that's a big question. It's a big question, right? Yeah. So I think that Johnny, definitely keep your eye on him. But Mike Sainristil, man, I think you came up with the situation earlier during the buy, sell, or hold. Will Johnny Newton win Defensive Player of the Year? I think Mike Sainristil has a better chance of winning that award than probably Johnny Newton does, because the interceptions, him being a blitzer from the slot. There's so many different ways you can use Sainristil, and I think he's going to be such a good player immediately. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if he was the best defensive rookie player in the NFL this year. He is that good, and I'm really excited to see him play, man. I really am. Okay, so here is our Super Chat menu. We still need $60 more in Super Chats for Cully to suck down a boot today, all right? So if you don't know what the boot is, okay, so you got this big glass boot. It carries 3 beers, and Cullen can get it done in under 10 seconds, all right? So if you want to see Commander Cully with that F the Cowboys hat, just take down a boot. We're trying to get to $100 in Super Chats today, so if we can get there, guys, really do appreciate all of your support. Plus, every $20 Super Chat, you get your name on the F the Cowboys hat that Cullen is currently wearing right now. And then also we have to do 2 Bean-Boozled jelly beans. So I really do appreciate everybody that donates to the channel. You guys are the lifeblood. You guys really keep things going here. You guys keep the lights on here at the Commanders Report. And, we don't charge you guys $25 a month for our premium content like Pro Football Focus does. So anything that you guys can donate and help us out here, it's greatly appreciated. And we want to see Cullen and his first ever Commanders Report live show take down a boot. All right, so $60 away. Who's going to be the person that gets us over the top? So how are we doing on questions here, Cully?
We need some more. We need some more.
So we need some more questions.
We need some more.
Hashtag Commanders along with your question down there in the chat. I see 100 people still tuning in live here around the world. I see Jasmine. I see Julius. I see Elvis.
Yeah.
I see Commando Mike. Shout out to Commando for that $20 super chat earlier. We got Terashinki Harkness Sr. We got Jerry.
The thing is, too, so I'm checking out the chat the entire time throughout the show. I've seen a lot of good questions. They just didn't use the hashtag Commanders.
So you guys got to use hashtag Commanders. If you have a question that you want me to answer on the show, you have to use hashtag Commanders and then put your question in the same comment. All right, so make sure you guys do that. If you want to get on the show, we still need some more questions. So if you didn't use hashtag Commanders earlier and you still want to get your question on the show, it's not too late. Let's get that going right now. Get you on the show. How many do we have right now?
We've got about a total of 3. So, I mean, that's definitely not.
Oh! Coley's doing a boot today, folks!
Let's do it.
This one's coming in from IQ Barbecue! Bang! IQ Barbecue! One of the legends. Everybody spam IQ in the chat.
Let's go, baby.
IQ Barbecue with an IQ bomb. Let's go.
Let's freaking go, man.
And Cully, after this mailbag, you're taking down a boot with the F the Cowboys hat on. You gotta freaking love it. It's a great Thursday here on the Commanders Report. Still need more questions. All right, so get those hashtag Commanders down there in the chat.
Let's go.
Get those IQs in the chat. Show IQ some love. We got Commando Mike showing IQ some love. We got JG. We got Demirius down there saying IQ. Everybody spam IQ down there in the chat, man.
Let's freaking go.
$100 super chat.
Now, that's how you welcome somebody. I got to say, Sperry was talking all up beforehand, and, you don't really know until you see it. Man, you guys came and delivered today. Let's freaking go.
Let's go, IQ. Absolutely fantastic, my man. If you guys got questions and you want it on the show, hashtag Commanders or Super Chat to get it on the program. Still need some more. Still need a couple more here. So if you got a question about Jayden Daniels, about this offensive line, about the defense, because it's going to be a very interesting defense this year. All right, so if you got questions about how the defense is going to operate this year,
there's one.
Hashtag Commanders. Commando Mike just got his question in there. Jasmine showing some love to IQ Barbecue. Kurt is showing some love to IQ Barbecue. Get those questions in so we can get into the mailbag, and then we can get to Cully's boot coming up after the mailbag here. Let's go, man.
Freaking ready,
Let's go.
Let's go.
So how many questions do you think we still need?
Probably should 2 more.
So we still need 2 more questions, says Commander Cully. We need 2 more questions before we can get into the mailbag here. So use hashtag Commanders along with a question, and you will get on the show. Guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
So we got a couple more rolling in here. So make sure you guys keep getting those questions in. We're going to get into the mailbag right now. 2 more just came in.
Now, one of them was a boot question. So, I don't know.
That's fine.
All right.
That's fine.
Okay.
Keep those questions coming even while I'm in the mailbag, guys, because Coley can still see them. If you put a hashtag Commanders one down there in the chat, we'll get it on the show. All right, so let's get it going right now, Commander Coley, with our mailbag segment here on the Commanders Report. Welcome into the Commanders Report. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and today I am answering your questions on the Burgundy and Gold. This is my favorite segment to do during the week because I get to talk to you guys, the Commanders fans that support us so much. I really do appreciate all of your support, which is why we want to give you a voice right here on the Commanders Report every single week with our mailbag segments. If you want to get a question on a future Commanders mailbag. You can use hashtag Commanders down there in the comments section, and maybe it'll get on next week's show. Or you can subscribe to the channel, join the most interactive Commanders YouTube community here on YouTube, and join us every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for our live shows where we film these mailbags. So if you want to join our community, we got a bunch of very passionate Commanders fans. I really do appreciate all 15,000 of you guys that really do support the channel with all of your heart. You guys are the best. And with that, let's pause and open it up for questions. We got one from my man, Commando Mike. Says, do you think Austin Eckler will end the season as the starter? Or what will be his impact to the team? So I'm actually a little bit lower on Austin Eckler right now, Mike. He's a big name. He's somebody that, people that play fantasy football are going to really know, and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, we got Austin Eckler. But last year at the Chargers, man, really fell off a cliff in terms of his speed. You could tell he took a big step back in that regard, and that was really his bread and butter. So, he's going to bring veteran savvy. He's going to bring great mentorship to a couple of young running backs like Brian Robinson Jr. and Chris Rodriguez Jr., and he's going to be a good third down back. He's still a good receiving back, but I think B-Rob is going to be your main guy for early downs. He's going to be pretty much a workhorse and a bell cow. And then on third downs, Eckler will come in obvious passing situations, and he'll be fine in that role. But if you're expecting like a big-time, like classic Austin Eckler season from 5 seasons ago, like I just don't think that's probably going to happen. Appreciate the question, Mike. Then we got one from Lonnie Broom who says, hey, Jack, I think the Commanders will make the playoffs this season. I hope they do. I really do, man. Jayden Daniels, I think if they're going to make the playoffs, the offensive line has to be a lot better than what they're projected to be. Because you don't really have a legit answer at left tackle unless you really believe in Brandon Coleman. Coleman's really going to have to exceed my expectations this year. Then Nick Allegretti's going to have to exceed my expectations this year. Andrew Wiley's going to have to play a lot better than he played just last season because, when it comes to offensively, especially when you have a rookie quarterback, you gotta be able to protect that guy, man. Rookie quarterbacks, when they're under pressure, they make mistakes. They fumble the football. They throw interceptions. They do all these things. And, it's just better if there's good protection. And right now, I'm just not sure if I believe in the Commanders' offensive line as currently constructed. Now, if they get like David Bakhtiari in free agency, which would be a great move, I might change my tune a little bit here, man. And if Andrew Wiley can earn the money that the Commanders are paying him this year, I might change my tune. But based on what I've seen on film and, what the projection looks like heading into the year, I think the offensive line is going to be the main X factor that keeps Washington out of the playoffs. Appreciate your perspective, though, Lonnie. Then we got one from Riverboat Ronnie. Another Ronnie here. Lots of Anies over here, Commander Cully. Says, what player, if any, do you think is the most likely to be traded to the Commanders before the start of the season? Most likely, I'd probably say Dan Moore Jr., left tackle from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers have spent 2 first-round picks in a row on offensive tackles. Dan Moore Jr. at Steelers OTAs has said, I don't want to play right tackle. So that means he doesn't want to be a backup swing tackle. So what that tells me, he probably wants to be traded. And the Commanders are a team that is in desperate need, in my opinion, of a starting left tackle that can play this year. Dan Moore Jr. is still young. He's got a great physical profile. He trains with Duke Manyweather, the best offensive line coach on the planet. I'd probably rather sign David Bakhtiari if I were the Commanders, or even get Donovan Smith before I'd get Dan Moore Jr., but you could do a lot worse than Dan Moore Jr., especially if you're only giving up a 6th or a 7th round pick for him. So who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comment section. Who do you want the Commanders to trade for before the season begins? If you don't want the Commanders to trade for anyone, let me know that as well down there in the comment section. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So in just a second here, we're going to be talking about our sponsor at Fanatics. While I'm talking about Fanatics, go down there in the comment section and answer today's pinned question. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Fanatics. Go to chatsports.com/Daniels to pick up a brand new Washington Commanders Jayden Daniels jersey, number 5. Get that in your collection today. And also, this helps out the channel, guys, because if you go to chatsports.com/Daniels, I'll put that link in the comments and description, and you make a purchase after clicking that link, Fanatics is going to send us part of the proceeds. So we really do appreciate your support. If you need a new Jayden Daniels jersey, you believe in this kid and the future of this franchise, you can go chatsports.com/Daniels, make a purchase, and then not only do you get a new Jayden Daniels jersey, but you also help out the channel, which we greatly appreciate. All right, now we got one from JG. My man says, will Jayden Daniels' scrambling affect the performance of the offensive line? It might make up for some of it for sure. I mean, I like his pocket presence, and I like his ability to move out of structure. Now, in terms of his pure scrambling, where he's like throwing the football, it's actually not all that much that he does that, or at least that's what his college tape said. Right? He was somebody where if he wasn't going through his progressions in structure and he was leaving the pocket, he was pretty much always going to be a rusher. So, that means he's going to be running the football a lot, especially in his rookie season, in my opinion, because he's going to be under pressure a lot. He's not going to be able to get through 2-3 progressions with still a clean pocket. So, it's going to be challenging for Jayden Daniels behind this offensive line. However, if he thrives and he, can still play at a pretty decent rate behind that offensive line facing that much pressure against legit NFL defenses, I mean, we might have a superstar in our hands once the Commanders can eventually figure out the offensive line in years to come, man. So I think this is going to be kind of a trial by fire year for Jayden Daniels. I guess we'll see if he can handle the heat. Then we got one from Kurt Cobain. Gotta love that. It says, do you like the 3 safeties scheme? So they're going to be doing a lot of 3 safety stuff this year, it looks like. It looks like they're going to have Derek Forrest and Quan Martin as like their true safety types. And then they're going to have Jeremy Chin kind of play like a safety, linebacker, bandit kind of hybrid role where he's going in between. And I like that a lot. I mean, I think you look at the best defenses in football. You look at the New England Patriots and the Minnesota Vikings and, all these teams, Pittsburgh Steelers. They use a lot of 3 safety packages because it works. If you have these versatile players that are bigger safeties that can play as kind of like hybrid linebackers, use them. Use them. There's not a whole lot of great coverage linebackers in football. So if you have a bigger safety that can play a hybrid linebacker role, especially in your nickel formations and obvious passing situations, absolutely. Get that job done, man. Get those players in your building. And I love that the Commanders got one of those guys in Jeremy Chin this year. Really excited to see what he looks like in this scheme led by Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. Then we got one from Jimmy Lake. Says, what do you think leads the Commanders in sacks this season? It could be a number of players. It could be Jonathan. It could be Duran. It could be Frankie Louvu. It could even be Bobby Wagner. He's still a great blitzing linebacker. It could be Dorrance Armstrong. I'm going to go with Frankie Louvu, though, because he's one of the best blitzing linebackers in football. This is going to be a defensive scheme that allows him to rush the passer very frequently, almost as, pretty much a true edge rusher is what he's going to be. He's going to be blitzing a lot. He's going to be threatening to blitz on pretty much every play. And if it's not him, it's going to be Jamin Davis or Bobby Wagner. They're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff this year defensively. I can't wait to watch it with you guys. But if I'd have to put my finger on one player, I'm going to go with Frankie Louvu because he's that good of a blitzer from the linebacker position. Now let me know down there in the comments section who will lead the Commanders in sacks this year. Predict it for me. Will it be Jonathan Allen? Will it be Daron Payne? Will Johnny Newton lead the team in sacks in his rookie season? Let me know what you guys are thinking down there in the comment section. Then we got one from my man Demarius Young. Says, what position group do you look forward to watch in training camp? There's a lot. I'd have to say probably wide receivers because I love Scary Terry. I think he's a top 10 receiver in the game. I think he's been shafted by the quarterback play and the offensive play calling here for years, and he still, puts up big numbers, right? So once Jayden, really gets his sea legs under him, I can't wait to see what that combination is going to look like. I'm also interested to see how Luke McCaffrey looks because I thought on film he looked slow. Now, I know he tested well, but on film, he wasn't getting out of his breaks all that well. He didn't actually look that fast in a straight line perspective, at least not as fast as he tested. So I'm interested to see how he's progressed here in this next offseason because he's relatively new to the position. Maybe, he's taken some major steps forward during the draft process. I haven't seen him work out in person or anything like that. So I'm hoping Luke McCaffrey can take a step up. I'm hoping Jahan Dotson can come back and have a bounce-back season this year. I'm hoping De'Ami Brown can finally break out a little bit as a true receiving threat here. Wide receiver is a very interesting position to me. Also, Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint, really interesting player. A UDFA out of Georgia. Mitchell Tinsley, who was a UDFA last year. Jamison Crowder can still play. They got a lot of really solid depth pieces in the wide receiver room this year. Very excited to see how they play during training camp this year. Now make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you are a Commanders Report real one. You watch our videos, you've subscribed to the channel, you watch our videos regularly. You guys know clicking that thumbs up icon is the fastest and easiest way to help us out here at the channel. So help us grow our channel exponentially right now by clicking that thumbs up icon right now. Then we go on from my man Jonathan Taylor. Says, I don't care about the name of Commanders. I care about wins. Is that a bad take? No, it's not a bad take. All right. I think we all care about wins. I think the people that take issue with the name Commanders, it's not like they want to lose or that they don't care about the team winning. Okay. I think these are two separate issues, Jonathan, personally. Because personally, I'm somebody that wants them to change the team name. I don't like the name Commanders, but I definitely want the team to win, right? I don't think it's binary. You choose which one you want, right? So I would care about wins more. If I could choose between getting more wins and changing the team name, obviously I'm picking wins. But how about we change the name and we start winning? That'd be fantastic, man, because I'm not the biggest fan of the team name Commanders. But you know what? If they want to keep it, fine. Let's go out and win some football games. Then we got one from Peter Labovich. I hope I'm saying that right, my friend. Says, have you started looking to the 25 draft yet? Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks Jr. Honestly, Peter, I haven't really done much film study on that. Right now, I'm actually diving deep into current NFL quarterbacks for my quarterback rankings that I'm going to be releasing here in the next couple of weeks. So if you want to check me out on Twitter, at Jack_Sperry, I'm going to be putting out my quarterback rankings here relatively soon. And then once I'm done with those guys, I'll start getting some preliminary work done on next year's draft class. So I haven't really taken a big look at Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks Jr. yet, but eventually this offseason I'll probably get to them if they're really high-end players. Then we got one from Peter Griffin. Says, what is the best-case scenario for the Commanders' offensive line this season? And if they reach that potential this year, how far can this team go? Best-case scenario, Braden Daniels comes out of nowhere and is an awesome player, right tackle. Brandon Coleman is an awesome player and reaches his potential, left tackle. Nick Allegretti is the player he was, is a legit option at left guard. Check that. And then after that, Biotish is solid at center, and Cosme's great at right guard. So that's the best case scenario, is if Braden Daniels, after missing his entire rookie season, comes in and replaces Andrew Wiley, because I think there's no hope for Andrew Wiley anymore. Then you get Brandon Coleman, who is still young. He's got long arms. He's a big body. He can move relatively well. At least he tested that way. He comes in, plays really good at left tackle. That's the best case scenario. If that happens, I think Jayden Daniels is good enough to get this team to the playoffs. All right, that's where I think they're at. I think the defense is going to be about league average or so. And then I think if this offensive line reaches its absolute maximum potential, this is going to be a top 15, maybe top 10 offense in the game. And with the culture that Dan Quinn is establishing here, I really think that this team's going to fight every single week. And that gets you to like 9-10 wins and close to a playoff berth for me. Okay, so that's probably the best case scenario for me. But let me know down there in the comments section, will the Commanders make the playoffs this year? Do you believe that in the first year of the Dan Quinn era, they can turn it around like the Houston Texans did last year? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comments. For me, guys, I think the Commanders will take more the path of like the Dan Campbell Lions, where maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2 years of kind of getting your feet under you, establishing a good culture, and then boom, you're ready to win Super Bowls just like the Detroit Lions are right now. I don't necessarily want things to be rushed here in Washington. I want them to do it right. It's not necessarily going to just happen overnight, at least for this football team. So make sure you click that subscribe button right now if you haven't already. Really do appreciate everybody that made it to the end of today's mailbag. Thank you to everybody that watched our live show and submitted questions. And if you want to get a question on next week's live show, go ahead and check us out next Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, or you can put #Commanders down there in the comments section and get your question eligible for next week's show. All right, Cully, get that boot lined up, folks. Let's go, baby. Shout out to IQ Barbecue. Kurt Cobang says, appreciate the breakdown. Appreciate you, Kurt. Thanks for the question. We got Lawrence Walker down there. We got Jasmine says, how many wins for the Washington Commanders this year? Jasmine, if you want to get the question on the mailbag in the future, make sure you use #Commanders at some point in that question so that we can see it. But to answer your question, I think the Commanders will win 7 games. And I think that's respectable. Okay, you know, this is a team that was drafting second in the NFL draft this year, guys. It's not every year where you're the Houston Texans and you have the number 2 pick, and then the next year you have a new head coach and a new quarterback and you make the playoffs and you win a playoff game. That doesn't happen every time. Sometimes it takes like a Detroit Lions with Dan Campbell where, you know, you have to take your lumps for a season or two and then boom, you have the foundation set in place to really be a winner for multiple years into the future, like the Detroit Lions are right now. I mean, they were a couple plays away from going to the Super Bowl last year over the 49ers, who almost beat the Chiefs. So, like, I look at the Lions as a team that's a legit contender right now, and they weren't that way immediately when they hired Dan Campbell. You know, when they brought in Jared Goff, it took Goff a couple years in that system to really get going. So I look at what the Commanders have going right now. I think they could be on a very similar path. You know, you've got Dan Quinn, who I believe in as a culture builder, all right, and as a defensive mind. Then you got Jayden Daniels, who I think, 2-3 years down the line could be a top 10, even top 5 quarterback in the game with his ability to wreck the game as a rusher, probably a top 3 rushing quarterback in football right now, or at least among the starters. And then you have a guy in Daniels that can also throw the football. And with the receivers that you have, and hopefully you can build an offensive line, and I think this defense is going to be brilliantly schemed up. It might take a year before they really get into, playoff and, title contention, and they're winning playoff games. But, the wait is going to be worth it. I truly believe that. And, this year it might be 7 wins, and, they take some tough losses. And, Jayden, has some tough games and makes some tough throws some bad interceptions. The offensive line maybe won't be all that great, which limits what you can do as a football team. But, I expect to see a lot of hope and optimism coming out of this year's team. Jayden Daniels showing things off with his legs. Daniels showing things off with his arm, with his connection with Terry McLaurin. Brian Robinson, hopefully he can make a nice little impact this year. And then the defense with Dan Quinn and, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Frankie Louvu, who I'm a big fan of, Jeremy Chint, who I'm a big fan of. The outside cornerback position is a bit rough, but I do think that this is a football team that's going to show flashes of future success this season. And, I'll say this. I think the Commanders are better than the Giants. 3rd place, moving up the ranks. I think that'd be a good year for the Washington Commanders. We got producer Cully here. F the Cowboys. F the Cowboys. F the Cowboys. All right, Cully, you got your boot. You got the seltzer boot there. Little happy dad boot. All right. You guys haven't seen nothing yet, man. Get this thing going right now. Everybody type Cully down there in the chat. Everybody spam Cully or Chug, either one. Either one. Type Cully or type Chug. Big shout out to IQ Barbecue.
Yes, shout out to you, IQ.
Omar's Burner and Commando Mike for sending in the super chats today. Let's go, Cully.
Ready? All right, let's do this.
Bottoms up. Cully. Look at, he's got the one hand. He's doing it with one hand. Put it down. Hey! Commander Cully with the boot. How was that? Was that lemon lime? It smells like lemon lime over here, man. We got Demetrius spamming Cully. We got Lawrence saying Cully. Demetrius saying IQ is the MVP. We got Jasmine in here. We got Peter. We got Lonnie. We got JG. We got Lawrence. We got a bunch of great Commanders fans down there in the chat. Cully, it's It's been a good one today, my friend. Your first Commanders Report live show. We did a couple F the Cowboys chant. The F
Always a good time.
The F the Cowboys hat looks good on you, by the way, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you guys so much for all of your support. That's going to be it for today's show. We'll catch you guys next Thursday for the next edition of Commanders Report Live.